What's up, guys? M Jones back in the house again for a new Blu Ray update, and also I'm in a new location for my new Blu Ray updates up in my man cave. Today we're going to talk about a ton of movies because I have not done a Blu Ray update in a while. So I have a lot of movies to talk about. A lot of movies I was really excited to get. Some that were just released like last Tuesday that I was so excited to finally have go from DVD to a Blu-ray. So let's get to it. First movie I'm going to talk about tonight, I'm going to talk about in a duo because they are the movie and the sequel. I was so pleased to see these two movies come out on Blu-ray. These were released last Tuesday, September 3rd. And I first saw that these are going to be released on Blu-ray probably back like 5 months ago. And I remember seeing release date September 3rd. I was like, oh, damn it. I was like, I want these movies. I haven't seen these movies in forever. And I couldn't really find my DVDs of them. So I was like, oh, I just want to see these movies again so bad. So I got these over the weekend. I watched them right away. Just absolutely love these movies. The first one is definitely better than the second one. The second one's not bad. It's a solid, I don't know, 5 out of 10 movie. This movie's definitely an 8 out of 10. It's so good. Just absolutely loved the parts in the early 90s and mid 90s of Jim Carrey. You know, it was right after pretty much how popular he got through In Living Color. And right here, you know, this one right here really put his name on the map for comedy. And also big blockbuster summer movies dealing with comedy. So I love seeing kind of the origin of Jim Carrey's huge stardom in Hollywood because, you know, he's made so many movies after these movies. And they made so much money. He's kind of a lunatic now, but I absolutely love Jim Carrey in the 90s. You know, Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber, in my opinion, are his best movies. And I laugh so hard at these movies every time. And I have to say, I'm not a fan of any animal killings in movies. I don't know, it just bothers me. I've always been an animal lover. But in this movie, the very beginning, spoiler alert, like that damn raccoon dies, and I felt awful about it. It's like, it's such a random thing for this movie to have because it's not like, I don't know, I always thought it was completely ridiculous that in When Nature Calls, the very beginning the raccoon dies. I just thought that was kind of strange and just very like, you know, I remember when I was a kid and I saw this movie with my neighbors, I remember thinking, you know, oh, this movie's going to be funny the whole time, and, you know, the very first 5 minutes, a freaking raccoon dies. I'm like, okay, it went from comedy to like really sad. It's like, you know, whatever. But absolutely love these duo. I was so excited to get it. It looks really good on the Blu-ray player. So definitely check out these two. You gotta buy them. They're classics. Gotta buy them. Next one. This is probably one of the first movies I remember seeing, you know, as I was a little kid. I remember the first movie I ever saw was Stand By Me, that I can remember. But this was a movie that I remember seeing. I remember I walked in as a little kid in the theaters, and just like kind of walked into it playing. And I was like, oh shit, like all these like killings and stuff like that. But Dances with Wolves, you know, it is an absolute classic. You know, Kevin Costner, you know, I think, didn't Kevin Costner, yeah, he directed this movie. And, you know, he was phenomenal in this movie. And I just remember my favorite part of this movie is after he kind of just becomes more as one with like the Indians, he gets captured, and that guy with that real weird accent is like, "You turn Indian, danger, danger." It's like, oh, it's just such a creepy scene. He's just like looking at him like, you know, you turned an Indian. And I remember Kevin Costner was like, yeah, pretty much. But I always thought that, what was her name? Mary McDonnell. You know, she was in Independence Day and in this movie as his Kevin Costner's love interest. I always liked her in movies, and I never see her anymore. I don't know if she does like a lot of independent stuff, but I never see her in movies. I always liked her. I always thought she was very attractive for an older lady. So I really was excited to get this movie. And if you can tell on the price, $7.99 for a phenomenal movie. Like it was 1991, I believe. You know, it won many Oscars. Like, it's a great deal. $8 for a fantastic movie. So you got to check this out. You know, I know Kevin Costner always has all the monotone, you know, undertones. Everyone thinks he's always monotone, but he's good. I like him. Like I always know what to expect with Kevin Costner, and it's always a very, very, very above average acting. So, like this movie. Check it out. It's long though. Check it out. The next one. This movie took a heap of shit from Hollywood critics. A lot of M. Night Shyamalans or Shyamalan, whatever, all of his fans. But they said this is pretty much his worst one. But I thought The Happening was not that bad of a flick. You know, I actually like this movie. I don't really know why it took such a hit. Like, I know everyone's like, well, you know, what the hell is everyone dying from? Why is everyone acting the way they are? And that's just it. Like, it was a mystery. Like, you know, all of a sudden, just the error was pretty much the reason everyone was dying. And it's just everything just changed. And I thought that was such a cool way to look at how the world could come to an end. And people who dog on this movie, you must not have much of imagination. You must not, you know, realize that it's a movie. Like, M. Night Shyamalan is an awesome director, and I miss a lot of his stuff. And I really, you know, forever I thought Devil was his movie, but he could just help write that. But I loved everything that he's done. But I can't remember the last movie he's done. I think Lady in the Water, maybe. I don't even remember. But I loved everything he has done. He's done like nothing forever. So, you know, M. Night, please bring back some movies. Loved your movies. But, you know, Mark Wahlberg's really good in this, I thought. John Leguizamo was good in this. And that creepy grandma, you know, more towards the end. Oh, it was a creepy part. But I really don't know why people didn't like this. I really liked it. I thought it was great. And the fact it was filmed in Philly, I was excited about that. I love Philadelphia. But I think check this out. Give it a try. Don't take it too serious. Just enjoy for what it is. But I loved it. I thought it was good. Next one. This was the first movie I ever saw in an IMAX theater. And I remember seeing it, and I remember being so pumped to see it. I think it came out probably 2007. And I had to get it. I Am Legend. You know, it was cheap again. Best Buy has some fantastic deals, by the way. For a little plug towards them. They have some great deals. Some good movies are just $7.99. This is another one that was $7.99. But I Am Legend, you know, I'm not a huge Will Smith fan as I once was. You know, Independence Day, I really liked him. You know, I thought Men in Black was alright. You know, I thought he was really good in Ali. You know, I thought that, you know, Wild Wild West was awful. You know, I thought Hitch was okay. You know, and I think this is one of his better movies. You know, the latest movie that came out with his son and him, was like Evolution or something like that. It was, oh my God, terrible. But Pursuit of Happiness, he's excellent in. But I think this movie is one of his top movies, if not his best movie. I thought he was really good in this, and he kind of reminded me of like a cooler version of Hitchcock. Like, I hated the movie Hitchcock. I thought it was corny as hell. And I just wasn't into it. But I thought he was the more serious character of, like, Hitchcock. This guy here, the character he's playing here. And it's a movie that's pretty much, he's the only one on the planet that hasn't gotten a virus. And he and his dog, you know, go through the town with a rifle, always looking for, like, you know, any kind of, you know, zombie-type person, and he takes care of them, and things kind of come out at nighttime, and he has to defend his area. And I just remember thinking, you know, this would suck. You're all by yourself, and you have to live a very secluded lifestyle. You have to live in darkness all the time. At nighttime, you can't put any lights on, because you don't want any of the creatures to come out and find you. Like, just what a lifestyle. But I just remember, I love the beginning of this movie, because he's in that sweet-ass Mustang, or I think it was a Mustang or Charger, I forget. I think Mustang. And he's driving around trying to kill that deer. And I just remember the entire city of New York is just dead. There's no one there. There's nothing happening. And I'm just like, how in the hell did you film that? I just thought that was so cool. I obviously know it wasn't real, but I just loved how they showed that. But this is a great movie. A really great movie. And I liked Will Smith in this. And ever since this movie, and I haven't really been into a lot of his movies, but love that movie. Oh, this movie. You know, if you want to be on an emotional roller coaster, if you want to not impress a chick, watch this movie, because you will bawl the entire time. Okay, this movie, holy shit, this movie was so sad. Ewan McGregor on the bottom here, and Naomi Watts up here. Naomi Watts was an Oscar nominee for this role in this movie. This was called The Impossible. It was about the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami that occurred. And they were in Asia when this happened. They were in a nice little secluded, like, all-inclusive, you know, like, beach area. And it was just one day, you know, it was the day after Christmas, 2004, you know, December 26, 2004, a humongous tsunami just occurred. And it just killed thousands beyond thousands. And it's a story of this lady who's a physician in this movie, and this guy and their two kids, and how they all get washed away from each other from the tsunami. And it tells the true story, supposedly true story, about how they all try to find each other and connect with each other. You know, the movie's the emotional roller coaster. It's a very like, holy shit, I'm gonna cry again. It's like I don't want to keep crying. And it's a very just real the scenes with the tsunami is fantastic. It kind of reminded me of, remember in maybe 1996, 97 when Twister came out and all those new sound effects and all those new ways of CGI kind of occurred. You're like, wow, they're gonna make movies like that now. Well, this movie kind of reminded me of how they're gonna set the tone with making movies about tropical storms. So I feel like the way they made this movie with its tsunami, when it actually happened in the movie, I feel like a lot of movies now in the future are going to kind of take notes from this to kind of make their movie the way they want it to, a la The Impossible's tsunami storm. So I love that about that. I found this to be a very novel approach to making a movie about storms that is to the highest standard. So I really thought that was cool. And Naomi Watts was excellent in this movie. She's always been a good actress. I've always liked her, and she seems really cool on and off the screen. So I really dug it. I'm not a huge Ewan McGregor fan. I've never been a huge fan of him. Transpotting, it was okay in my opinion. So he's never really done much for me. But Naomi Watts was great in this movie. And it's a great ending. You know, it's a movie's probably about 2 hours, and it's an emotional roller coaster. It's pretty tough to watch, but it's a good thing to watch. It's not something you just want to turn off. It's one of those things where I can't turn off. What's going to happen? Is it going to get worse, or is there actually going to be some kind of a rescue attempt or something that's good that happens in this? Check it out. It's a great movie. The next one. This movie did not get that much acclaim. Did not get that much, a lot of people saying how great it was. And I'm not a huge fan of this guy off the screen, Tom Cruise that is, but I still think he's a great actor. But this movie, Jack Reacher, I loved it. I've seen Rotten Tomatoes. It was just kind of like C plus B minus kind of average, and I think it was in the 50s somewhere percentage wise for Rotten Tomatoes. And if you know anything about me, you know how much I like Jai Courtney. The actor who I thought should have been Batman in the new Batman, rather than Ben Affleck. Well, he's the bad guy in this movie. And this movie was filmed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of parts in this movie where I recognize, because Mason and I have gone to Pittsburgh many times, and it's a beautiful city, and it's awesome. So it was cool to see stuff in this movie that we've been to. But this movie's crazy. It is based on books. There is actual books about this. And, Tom Cruise is very, he's well known in Hollywood as being very short. Well, the guy in the books, Jack Reacher, is real tall. So I kind of wish they would have casted someone a little bit better. Like a Carl Urban would have been perfect for this. Or, someone that's just a little bit taller that you could believe to do all this. It was hard to believe Tom Cruise was Jack Reacher when I read in the books he was so much bigger. So that's something I wish they didn't do. But I love this movie. It was very good. And, it's basically about a guy who shoots 5 random people in Pittsburgh. And all those people that were killed, their life ties into something, and it all shows up. And this guy here, Jack Reacher, is military trained, and he tries to find who the sniper was. And you learn exactly why things happen, and it's crazy. It's a lot of good fun. And I really like this movie. I was really excited to get this at a very cheap price at Best Buy. And not the sticker price here of $24.99. It was much cheaper. You got to go check out what that cheap price is. It's worth a buy. It's a movie I'd rather keep in my collection than just maybe watch every now and then on demand. I wanted this for my collection because I love this movie. It was so good. Check it out. It came out last year. Next movie. Now this movie, I've always seen this like real cheap, and I just never bought it, even though I've always liked it. I saw this movie when I was about 12 or 13. It's The Negotiator. I remember when I saw it. I remember I liked it a lot. I remember this was before Samuel L. Jackson really annoyed me. I think, and I love Kevin Spacey too. This is The Negotiator. Samuel L. Jackson takes a building hostage. He got screwed over with his work, and he wants basically justice for what he thinks should be justified. And and I love the late J.T. Walsh in this. If you put J.T. Walsh right there, he's held hostage by Samuel. He was the douchebag guy in Backdraft, back in the early 90s movie. And I love Kevin Spacey. I always loved Kevin Spacey as a bad guy, but he was a pretty good guy in this movie. So it was funny to see him in this movie when he just got done making the movie 7, when he was, holy shit, you know what I'm saying? And he just got done being Kaiser Soze in Usual Suspects. So he goes from those crazy lunatic roles to this nice, hardworking, normal guy, and who just wants to save everyone in the building from Samuel Jackson. And he's a great cop. So it just shows the range of Kevin Spacey. He's a phenomenal actor. He really is. He's one of the best, if not the best. So I love this movie just because I love seeing the range of Kevin Spacey from going from crazy roles, 2 and 1 year prior to this role of being a hero, pretty much. So you got to check this out. It's a really good movie. It's a lot of fun. And I was reading some of the quotes that critics would say about this movie, and it said the most intelligent thriller since Die Hard. I mean, my God, Die Hard's genius, but this movie, it's a pretty good movie. It's a solid 6 out of 10. You'll like it. It's a fun movie, some cool action, some cool lines, some cool scenes. Let's check it out. But it's not anywhere close to Die Hard, trust me. Die Hard's one of my favorite movies. Alright, I had to go chick flick. I had to go chick flick for you this week. Sorry, hope I'm not making you mad. But I had to check out the movie Nights in Rodanthe. The reason why I bought this movie is because I actually vacationed in Outer Banks back in 2009 for a week. Finished grad school, wanted to get away, so I took a ride down the Outer Banks, spent a week there, had a great time. And I stayed right north of Rodanthe. Rodanthe is a really small little beach town. It has like maybe one bar, one store for food. Like there's not much there. But this movie, if you can see this house, I actually was at that house on the outskirts, and it was beautiful. It's right on the water. If there was a hurricane, that house is doomed, done. It's going to take so much damage. But they actually built a lot onto this house for this movie, and it's about Richard Gere and Diane Lane, and they kind of meet each other and they fall in love, and it just kind of shows how tough times really show what kind of character you have, and how heartbreak can be awful and devastating. This movie's really tough to watch if you're real into like love, and if you're hopeless romantic. This movie's perfect for you because you'll bawl. But it's a good movie for sure. And when I was there in Rodanthe, in North Carolina, I asked a bunch of people about the movie, and they said, Richard Gere was cool. He played the pool hall with all the locals, and he was very approachable. And they said Diane Lane wasn't that approachable. They said she was kind of just, I'm just going to do my job, and I'm going to go to my trailer. So I hope she's not really like that in real life. Maybe she's having a tough time, whatever. I don't know. But apparently she wasn't that friendly when this movie was being made. But Richard Gere was cool during the making of this movie. So I'm really excited to probably watch this movie again. I did see it on DVD, but I didn't see it on Blu Ray yet. So I'm really excited to see this movie. The interior of this movie that was filmed was actually not at this house. It was actually a set they built, probably in Hollywood in California. But any of the exterior shots, it was filmed actually in location of Rodanthe in North Carolina. And this is a Nicholas Sparks book, so anything he writes, and if there's a movie made, it's usually pretty good. So check this out. I liked it a lot. All right, 2 more. Saw this movie on Amazon, had to get it, didn't realize I didn't have it, didn't realize it was on Blu Ray. But I remember buying this on VHS. I never got it on DVD, but I had to get it. 1998, Rush Hour. Loved Rush Hour. Just thought this movie was so funny. Now this was probably the time from like 93, 94 to about 1999, 2000 where Chris Tucker was money. Anything Chris Tucker did was funny. The way he talked and how much he improvised his lines and how much it went off script, he was funny as hell. And then all of a sudden, like 2000, 2001, 2002, it was just, he kind of disappeared. And I heard he went kind of crazy and tried to do a comeback with a whole, like, this religious thing. Like, that doesn't work so much sometimes in Hollywood. People don't always buy that, If you're religious, you've been religious your whole life. You don't just wake up one day, I'm more religious. I don't know if I buy that. Or if anyone buys that. So he kind of just ruined his career by just stopped doing movies, it seems like. He was recently in Silver Linings Playbook, and he was alright. He had a very small role. I enjoyed his role, but I wasn't nuts about it. But he was really funny in this movie. And I just think it's just a fun movie to watch. All the stuff that happens here, so far-fetched. There's no way the stuff that happens in this movie with how the action sequences occurred would happen in real life. So you just have to enjoy this movie for it being a fun action movie where the plot is a serious situation, but it's fun to get to the situation. So if you liked Chris Tucker, which I do, I love 90s Chris Tucker. I loved him in Money Talks, Friday, Rush Hours. I loved him in those movies. And he's really funny in this. Jackie Chan, awesome. I thought he was great in this movie. I really bought his character, and I thought he was pretty funny. So check this out. For what it is, it's a solid movie. It's 5, 6 out of 10. But I really did like it, especially as a kid. The last one I had to get. It was so cheap at Best Buy. It was $9.99, marked down from $24.99. I had to get it. I really thought this was a very intelligent movie, but The Social Network. And it talks about the origin and creation of Facebook. That was started, the fall of 2003 at Harvard with Mark Zuckerberg, who Jesse Eisenberg plays. And it talks about how he made up all these ideas of how he can make something on the internet be where it's a social networking situation strictly in the Ivy League schools, which started at Harvard, and then it branched out to Ivy League schools. And how he thought of, in a relationship with, single, separated, interests, hobbies, location, statuses, pictures. Like, this is genius. I mean, this 2003, this genius guy, who's now a billionaire, changed the world. I mean, there's certain people in this world that do things, and then there's some people who actually make change. This guy made a change. This guy he's better than any politician I've ever seen. He actually did something, and he believed in it. I respect that. I like that a lot. And along the ways, if you've seen this movie, there's other people that wanted money, that thought that they were more involved with the creation of Facebook than just Mark Zuckerberg. So it was kind of cool to see how they did this movie. I loved how one of the actors actually he played 2 roles. He played twins, but it was actually just one guy. It wasn't actual twins in real life. I thought that was really cool. Very cool way of seeing it. Very cool way of doing a movie. But I'm not a big fan of Jesse Eisenberg. I think he's kind of always the same. He's like Michael Cera, just very nervous, very awkward. But they get their point across somehow. I don't know how, but they just do. But he was pretty good in this movie. But I'm not a huge fan of him. I really thought Zombieland was good, but he just always is the same type person. So there's no real range, in my opinion. Maybe people like that nowadays. I don't know. I'm not huge on that. But I thought this movie was excellent, and it's one of those movies I just like watching over and over because it's just so cool because I was in college the same year he was. I was a freshman in college in the fall of 2003, and I just remember all this stuff happening. I remember the first person I ever heard about Facebook, was a buddy of mine from high school, and I'm like, you have Facebook? He was an Ivy League school. He was at University of Pennsylvania. I'm like, what's Facebook? He goes, oh, it's cool, man. You can it's like a yearbook. And you can, keep track of people per day. I'm like, what do you mean keep track of people? He's like, you can just look them up, check them out. I'm like, isn't that stalking? He's like, no, it's different. So I just thought it was so cool to see, how the process went for this and all the different betas and stuff like that. But it's a great movie. You got to check it out. All right, so that does it for my September 10th, 2013 Blu-ray update. I will definitely have more updates in the near future. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up at the bottom left hand of the screen. I love talking about this stuff with you guys. Please leave comments. I'm really curious to see what you thought of what you viewed tonight and or today. And I will make sure to make some more things. I'm planning some more top 10 videos. I think that was fun. I think that was a hit for some people. I think a lot of people enjoyed that. I know I did. It's my utmost of honesty. So if you keep watching, subscribing, you will be entertained, I promise. So until then, you take it easy and K.